Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's virtual Wormwood Scrubs Charitable Trust Committee meeting. My name is Councillor Alex Anderson and I chair this committee. The standard housekeeping points that we can all recite verbatim at this point. Please could everyone stay muted unless they're speaking. Please wait until I call on you before speaking, and could everybody introduce themselves the first time they address the committee or the meeting. We have a relatively light agenda this evening, but lots of interesting things in it nonetheless. So I'm sure we're going to have interesting conversations throughout. Item 1, apologies for absence. We haven't had any received. Item 2, declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations of
No,
interest?
Chair.
Fine, thank you very much. Minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on the 24th of September 2026. Are these approved, agreed? Any comments?
Drawser Stephen has comments.
I don't have a comment, but I have one or two matters arising that aren't on the agenda, if that's allowed.
Yes, go for it.
The Old Oak closure, Old Oak Common Lane closure, if there's any more information on that, is one. That's the first in the order of the minutes.
I think we don't know. I mean, I might get Mark to come in, but I don't think we know much more than that. I think we've been told it won't be for a while, but it's spectacularly vague.
Chair, I can just briefly comment. Yeah, Mark Raisbeck, Director of Public Realm. Yes, we know no more at this stage. They are in the process of reassessing the whole programme delivery for HS2, which impacts the Old Oak Common Station. And the outcome of that delivery review, which has been instigated by the new Chief Executive, is due to report very shortly, actually. And so once that is known, we will hopefully then get a better understanding about the timescales, but I'm not expecting it to be this year, put it that way. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And the second was the renewal or retendering or extension rather than renewal of the ID Verdi contract, whether there'd been any progress on that issue.
Mark, shall I go back to you again?
Yeah, I can report that the contract has been out to tender. We're currently evaluating the contract at the moment. It's combined with other contracts concerned with highways maintenance and parks maintenance generally across the borough. That is still going through a process of evaluation. I'm not expecting the outcome of that until the summer to be finalised and signed off. So there will be there's still quite a process to go through.
Thank you very much. And is the Wormwood Scrubs element of it, as before, an independent unit being tendered for?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And Linda Christie, running track update and all that, because I don't think that's on the agenda.
I think we are going to, Simon, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we are going to talk about that.
Yes, that's right. It is an item on the agenda.
Okay, then thanks. Nothing else.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much. Are the minutes agreed? Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, item 4, manager's report, approving the annual report and financial statements. Has this been done, Nick? And we're just doing this for info to say that they've all been submitted.
Yes, thanks, Chair. That's right. I think I've still got to give an update to the committee, but we have sort of got the electronic sign off from everyone. So,
sorry, yeah, Chair, we have to formally agree them at the next Wormwood Scrubs committee. So even though they've been agreed, we need to just agree them here as well.
Wonderful. Nick, do you want to just say who you are as well?
Oh, sorry, yeah, absolutely. So I'm Nick Falcone. I'm Senior Corporate Accountant at Hammersmith and Fulham Council. So I'm responsible for preparing the Trust's statement of accounts and assisting the auditors with the sort of completion of the audit. I can say a few words about the annual report and accounts, just to just sort of remind people about that. So this is for the 24-25 financial year. So this is running from 1st of April 2024 to the 31st of March 2025. The reason I had to get the electronic sign off was in order to meet the Charity Commission filing deadline of the 31st of January. So that was the only reason that was done. Normally it would go to the December committee, but we found a way around that, which is good. Yeah, just to summarise that the trust made a surplus of £713,601 in 24-25. So this is the last full year with the additional income from the Kensington Aldridge Academy's occupation of the parade ground, which concluded in December. There was also some capital expenditure deferred into 25-26, so into the current financial year, which helped leave result in a healthy surplus, which means at the 31st of March 2025, the trust had unrestricted income funds of £2,846,742. And so the auditors issued an unqualified audit opinion. They did provide two recommendations in their report. One is for the trust to undertake an impairment review of the car park annually, as it does have a significant value of £5 million in the accounts. So it's important we sort of review that. And the other recommendation was about understanding the changes coming into effect to the charity statement of recommended practice from April 2026. So I'll be looking at that. So yeah, I just wanted to thank Sama as well for all his work on the report, and to those who made comments, and thank you, Chair, as well for the foreword you added in. Yes, hope the committee is happy to approve the recommendations, but happy to answer any questions as well.
Thanks so much, Nick, and thank you to you and Osama and everyone else who did contribute and make sure that the report is as beautiful as it is. Any comments, questions on the report? Are we just happy to approve? Great, wonderful. I wonder if this year it's one we could start a little bit earlier, just in case something does happen at the end of the year.
Yes, it's a good point, because I know we normally have the audit when it takes place in November.
Yeah, I think if we're running on financial year, we could do it in the first half of the year.
Okay.
Get the report done a bit more quickly.
Yeah, I'll look into that. I've got to think also the timing of the sort of main council accounts as well, how it all fits in. But yeah, we'll try and do it as early as we can. Yeah, I'll look into that.
Lovely, thank you. Wonderful. Stephen.
Yes, sorry, I failed to introduce myself. Stephen Whaley-Curran. I'm a co-opted member and chair of the Friends of Wormwood Scrubs. I made a number of comments on the accounts. Obviously, I'm not one of those, not being a councillor whose approval is necessary. And it would be very nice to see the final version, to see which of those comments were able to be included or were not thought appropriate, whatever. Not asking for a commentary, but it would be nice to see a final version at some stage.
Yes, actually, absolutely. And I know we did take into account many of your comments, so thank you for those. I think it is actually on the Charity Commission.
Yeah, I think
website,
it is.
The final version, because I had to submit that.
I can look there. That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. So anyone who would like to can look at them at their leisure. Lovely. Thank you very much, Nick. Great. Wonderful. Item 2 Master plan. Osama, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. So my name is Osama El Amin, and I am the manager to the Wormwood Scrubs Charitable Trust. Just quickly to conclude the last item, I just want to say thank you to Nick. Super helpful. It's a very difficult process to go through. It's not that straightforward. There's lots and lots of questions that have to go back and forth. And Nick was really fantastic in maintaining professionalism and being very flexible. So I just wanted to say thank you to Nick for his efforts. So on the master plan, we have concluded the tender submission period, excuse me, that concluded on the 4th of September. We received 4 bids, and all of them required further clarification on various different items. At the evaluation stage, one of the bids received a low enough score to be deemed unacceptable, while the other 3 were in compliance. All of the valid bids were in a sort of similar financial range, which is a good indicator that there is a particular market rate for that package of works that we tendered for. So it's not as if, people have sort of bidded in wildly different financial terms. All of those submissions have sat above the identified budget, and in line with clause 8 of our 2016 mitigation agreement with HS2, the trust is entitled to seek a financial uplift from HS2, provided that we have sought value for money throughout the procurement process, which is obviously something that we keep central to anything that we do in the trust and the council. As my colleague Mark Raisbeck recently alluded to, they are undergoing a sort of line-wide reset on the whole HS2 project, which will affect our negotiations. That reset is obviously aimed at reducing costs and prioritising the completion of phase 1. So we are in negotiations with HS2 on an uplift to meet the demands of the preferred supplier that we would like to go with. And as the outcome of that negotiation is likely to emerge between committee meetings, the priority still remains that we want to begin the capital works this year. And so this committee is asked to approve delegation to the chair to progress the scheme in between meetings. And a further update will be given to committee in March 26. You're on mute, Chair.
I am on mute. I was trying to be very well behaved and staying on mute when I wasn't speaking. Thank you very much. Councillor Stanton.
Thank you. Thank you, Osama. Just a small question, and I appreciate with commercial confidentialities you won't be able to give any details, but are we looking at a wildly different value for the work to be done than has been budgeted, or is it, fiddling?
Well, it is above budget, and it's the management works and not the capital works. So it's the 10-year management plan that has come in over budget. It is at the market rate, so to speak. So it's not as if we have received a number of bids that are kind of wildly out of the range of what we'd expect the market to bid for. But we're still, in terms of the kind of commercial sensitivities, we can't give particular amounts that each person or each company has submitted for. But they are within range, which is a good indicator of the value of these works.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, was that a hand?
Yes, it was. Thank you. We talked last time about if it was very wet, as it is at the moment, that the start of the works might have to wait till it was less wet. If you're hoping to get agreement before the March committee meeting with delegation to yourself, Chair, can we be assured that works won't start if it's still quite so wet and a great deal of damage could be caused?
That's a really interesting point. Thank you for raising that, Stephen. You're absolutely right. It is a very, very wet and boggy time at the moment on the scrubs. And so for that reason, knowing that we have a very wide range of different works that we want to implement on the scrubs, there are prioritizations for each of those work packages. So we know that, for instance, the SUD scheme, which are the network of swales and the water attenuation basins, etc., that actually requires slightly softer ground in order to do the digging effectively. So while we're not going to pursue, in an ideal setting, if we could have a contract awarded in the next couple of months, which isn't likely because we still have to go through the award process, there's certain internal governance that we need to go through. Even if we were to start as soon as possible, it would still be sort of start of summertime. So it would be slightly hotter, slightly drier. And again, that would have its own challenges in terms of the habitat creation work. So naturally, we have a range of different capital works that we want to implement. And depending on the time of year that the contract is awarded, we will prioritise what works are to come first.
Thank you. That's very reassuring.
But obviously, fundamentally, we want to make sure that this is a successful project that enhances the scrubs as opposed to causing any damage. Lovely. Are people too happy to delegate authority to me to progress that? Lovely. Thanks very much. Salma, staying with you for reinstatement of the KA2 site.
Thanks very much, Chair. So the Department for Education submitted their reinstatement plan to the Trust in May 25, and that plan covered a 28-week period, which was running from June to December 25. The licence to occupy the site expired in July 2025, and so the Trust negotiated a sustained rental fee based on the 24-25 rate to apply for the duration of the reinstatement period. That reinstatement concluded on the 19th of December. And so the terms of the reinstatement were appended to the planning permission that was initially given to the site. That planning permission was done on an annual basis, and then it was done in 3-year terms. And so that was agreed by the DFE, ourselves and the OPDC. And so DFE, when we were going through the kind of terms of reinstatement, they agreed to lay a sort of limestone aggregate surface on top of the red gra, which offers a little bit more permeability and mitigates that risk of surface water runoff that we know is quite a big problem on that part of the scrubs. So the space is now totally open. Just in reference to what Councillor Kwan kind of referred to earlier, it is very, very different now. It's a very large space. And what we have done with an eye to ensuring that we're limiting any vehicular incursions, we agreed an additional week of rent with the DFE, and that was to support the cost of constructing some iron railings in the car park, and that is designed to stop any vehicular access. And they've been installed and completed. Went and checked up on them, and I can't remember the last time I was that happy to see a bunch of railings be installed in a car park. And so due to the disturbance that we know kind of occurred to residents, particularly on Woodman's Mews, the reinstatement was happening between sort of 9 and 5 p.m. And we know that we have some elderly residents who live in that estate who were disturbed to some degree. So I've been working with the chair of the RA, who's been absolutely fantastic, been really, really helpful and supportive. And so we have come up with a list of improvements to communal spaces on the estate that the Trust will be looking to pursue in the next couple of months. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to those residents, and we will be ensuring that anything that happens in that space is co-produced with those residents and also the various different stakeholders who have an interest in the space. As you can imagine, lots of people have been coming up to me asking, what's the plan? What's going to happen? The fact of the matter is, it's Metropolitan Open Land, which is a legal designation which gives it the same protection as Greenbelt, which means it is very, very, very hard to get planning permission to construct on that space. That being said, there are a number of really interesting ideas for how to use the space in the future. And we have had confirmation from the OPDC that they're happy to give us some pre-planning advice once we've kind of worked up a more solid proposal for what to do with that space in the future. So just to conclude this point, I just wanted the committee to just thank the residents of Woodman's Mews for their cooperation. And yeah, we'll be working together to identify some plans in the future.
Thank you very much, Osama. That's great and a really helpful overview, and I'm delighted that Isaac has joined the committee as well. So thanks so much, Isaac. Wonderful. As you say, it is incredibly hard to build on the scrubs because of the 1879 Act stopping anything larger than an artillery shed being built there. But we are very hopeful that something nice can be done to that space. Stephen.
Yes, thank you very much. It is indeed encouraging and positive. Following the publication of the minutes and the management report, I've been approached by 2 or 3 large-ish community groups, the largest residents association, both on the Old Oak Common side and on the Kensington and Chelsea side, if you like, to say, well, I don't know who they're consulting with, it's not us. I know you're talking to Woodman's Mews, but I think you need to broaden the people you're talking to, all of whom you know already. like, well, you know them already, about other outline plans for the future use of the space, including the Friends, I hope. But it was interesting that they both contacted me to say, would I please raise that and say, don't know who he's talking to, but it's not us.
Well, that's slightly odd because I think Osama's been speaking to absolutely everyone, but we can take that back. Fine, thank you. Any other questions? Fine. Lovely, thank you very much. Osama, staying with you for Ida Verde.
Thanks very much, Chair. And again, just on the previous point, Sir Stephen, if you do want to send them across my way, please do. I'll be more than happy to have a chat with anyone who feels like they could offer some insight.
Thanks very much.
You're more than welcome. In terms of the grounds maintenance performance of Ida Verde on the scrubs, they have maintained a satisfactory level. We have been undergoing the seasonal scrub and bramble management program, which has been led by our on-site ecologist. They have cut approximately 8,000 square meters of bramble and scrub, which is roughly in line with the deficit that they hadn't met in the first year. There is some additional work that still needs to be done, and that will be pursued after the ground nesting bird season in September, most likely. So we've identified a number of locations that will be looked at in September. And in terms of the general kind of regime of maintenance that happens on the scrubs, we have a green waste processing depot. The mulch pile, of which mulch pile is essentially a massive, massive pile of biomass, and it's shredded vegetation, which is brought in from all across the borough and processed in that depot. That pile has grown significantly over the past 3 months. So we've been keeping a very, very close eye on how that pile is managed. As you can imagine, you know, when you have a massive pile of biomass, it needs to be turned regularly, and you need to water it regularly in order for it to not combust. And so, thankfully, the wetter weather is actually quite helpful for us in that respect. But what we've been doing is identifying other locations in the borough for that mulch pile to be used properly. So we've got various different shrub beds all across the borough which need a bit of TLC, and that's where the mulch comes in. So we have seen it decrease slightly. I did meet the Ida Verde grounds maintenance contract manager in the week, and we also have a plan to get rid of the giant mulch pile on the scrubs. So Stephen, you probably recall that big pile that needed to be removed when the Kensington Dragons work was happening. Now that pile, the secondary pile, is of very, very, very poor quality. There's got a lot of plastic in it. And so we've agreed that will all be removed, and that will be either incinerated or taken to landfill. That is a responsibility in line with the specification of the contract. It's been there for too long, and we've agreed that will be removed in the coming week or two. Just in terms of the ground nesting season, for any dog walkers who are watching the live stream, please do avoid the Western Meadow area altogether. And if access is unavoidable in that area, please keep your dogs on the lead. We want to make sure that the next generation of birds who are nesting at the moment have the best chance to be able to call the scrubs their home in the future. And canines obviously aren't that sensitive to the needs of birds in the local area. So if we could keep them on the lead, fantastic. If you keep out the meadow altogether, even better.
Thank you very much. Stephen.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to hear about the impending removal of that very temporary mulch pile. As you know, there are 4 or 5 large piles of logs in front of Linford Christie Stadium, which can be good habitats, although I would have said there were rather a lot of them at the moment. And one of them has had the addition of a large number of dead Christmas trees, which I don't think are good for habitat. And I wonder whether that was authorised or unauthorised, and if they're due for removal and so on. Thank you. On the subject of dogs being kept on leads in the Western Meadow, I quite accept that need, but you should know that there are at least several foxes in that area, which means there won't be any ground nesting birds, unfortunately, that will get through. And I don't think there's anything that anyone can do about it, but I think it's worth noting that the number of foxes on the scrubs has definitely increased in the last 12 or 18 months.
Thank you, Stephen. On the note of the logs in front of Linford Christie, inevitably we will need to remove the vast majority of them in order to construct the swales that will be running across the northern perimeter of Linford Christie. We have regular and seasonal Christmas tree drop-off points, which is usually in front of Linford Christie. This happens annually, and usually what happens is when residents drop off their Christmas trees, we have our tree contractor come in and they wood chip all of those Christmas trees. We then use that wood chip for kind of lining the forest school paths, other woodland areas on the scrubs and around the borough. They are delayed in completing that work. So that should hopefully be happening in the next 3 weeks. And yes, those logs, they're very, very heavy. Some of them are fantastic habitats. Some of them are actually trunks of trees that were diseased in other parts of the borough and the scrubs that needed to be cut down. Just to allay any fears, if a diseased tree is cut down, once it's cut, there is no risk to the trees in the area. If it's in the root system, then the disease might affect the trees in the local area. But it was an interesting question that I got from a member of the Friends a couple of weeks ago. But yes, they will be removed. Some of them will be repurposed. Again, things like lining the forest school paths, delineating certain routes in wooded areas. It's very helpful to use the logs for that. But as you said, it's a lot of logs and probably more than we need. So we'll probably wood chip them and then offer them to other places in the borough.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. All right, athletics track.
Thanks very much, Chair. So the final phase of the capital programme at Linford Christie is the running track, the 8-lane, 400-metre running track. And this concludes the other 2 phases, which were the resurfacing of the artificial football pitch, as well as the demolition of the old changing room block and replacement with new changing room facilities. And so the tender submissions against the identified spec for the running track came in at about £230,000 over budget. And so we worked very, very closely with the Thames Valley Harriers, who I might say have been very, very helpful and very patient throughout this whole time, to reduce the scope of work and bring the scheme closer to budget. So in that engagement with the Harriers, we prioritised the lighting columns, the base repairs, and the resurfacing of the actual track itself. And so we've reduced that deficit to about £128,000 over budget. And so that deficit, we've agreed, will be met by a 40k contribution from the council through the community infrastructure levy. Well, some people call that section 106. £18,000 from the sports and leisure department, and that's a departmental cost, and another £70,000 from the trust, £50,000 to come next year and £20,000 to come this year. And that's to be contributed in this committee, hopefully. And in order for that work to take place, we need sustained dry weather and temperature above 10 degrees Celsius. And so we have logged a letter of intent with the contractor, and we said that we're very, very keen to go ahead. We're just waiting on them to come back to us with confirmed dates. Again, we need decent weather for this, so it's unlikely to happen until kind of springtime, early summer. And again, that does depend on contractor availability. And so this committee is asked to approve a £20,000 uplift this year to the scheme, and a further update will be provided in the March committee.
Wonderful, thank you very much. As you know, this has my support. Do the rest of the committee have questions, or are we happy to approve? Great, thank you. I think that's approved. Lovely. So I'm really staying with you here. Should we move on to workforce plan?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. And so in response to the level of regeneration, both within the trust demise and around the local area, the trust requires a workforce plan that can adequately influence local stakeholders while pursuing the charitable objectives stated in the 1879 Act. And so this proposed one-year pilot plan sees an enhancement of the trust manager role with further line management responsibility and a requirement to deliver a 5-year strategic business sustainability plan and also maintain responsibility for all compliance across the trust estate. The Wormwood Scrubs development manager role will also report into the same head of service with a soft line to the head of parks and cemeteries. The financial implication of this plan is to an additional £40,000 to the annual cost of staff overheads. And so you will see within the organogram structure, which is in the management report, that we've added a site engagement operative who is essentially someone like a park warden. And that person will be responsible for monitoring sports bookings, monitoring grounds maintenance works, compliance with bylaws, and generally just being a friendly face on the scrubs, engaging with users who kind of come and go. That person will be recruited via the council's HR mechanism. And again, that person will be line managed by the head of operations and sustainability. So this committee is asked to approve that plan for an initial year with a review to proceed this time next year.
Thanks so much, Osama. And just say this is obviously something we've talked about for quite a long time, because we know there's so much that we'd like to do, but capacity has been an ongoing issue. And Osama and Vicky have been amazing at taking on a huge amount of work. But I think it's really exciting to think about the future and think about future growth. Councillor Schmidt.
Yeah, and sorry, I'm new here, so you probably discussed this when you're planning for this. When you said enforcing compliance with bylaws, would they have the ability to issue fines or warning, like what, or would they need to bring the LET in to do that? What would their powers be?
That's a really good question. So this person will be the kind of first line of communication with anyone on the scrubs. So they won't have enforcement power to issue FBNs necessarily, but essentially what they'll be doing is gathering information. And so where we know that there are certain trends of compliance or non-compliance, we can then use that information to support the LET have slightly more proactive patrols. You know, the LET have a very thankless kind of situation on the scrubs where they sort of need to turn up and see non-compliance happening at the time. And that's not helpful when you're managing sort of 200 acres of green space in zone 2. And so the idea is that if this person comes onto site, kind of is aware of what the bookings are and when they're supposed to be happening, then using the information as well that I've generated from a GPS mapping platform that we're subscribed to, it's called Active Exchange. That Active Exchange data, as well as our sports bookings data, gets given to this person. That person then kind of monitors, are people up to what they say they are they not? Are there trends that we can see? That information gets sent back to me. We all have a meeting with the LET, and then we kind of think about how we can enforce slightly differently. But to answer your question, no, they won't have the powers of issuing FBNs.
And will they, that says the role seasonal, are we looking to have the same person returning year or year, or is it you hire them for a season, train them up, and then have to do that with a new person the next season?
Ideally, we'd like to keep the same person. And I guess because this is a pilot, what we'll look to do is kind of understand what the peaks and troughs will be for the demand of that role. And so obviously it's important that that person has continuation of kind of what to expect and when to need to work. My assumption at the moment, my working assumption based on the sports bookings data, is that it's more likely to be kind of spring and summertime heavy, and then come sort of autumn and winter it will tail off a little bit. But as it's a plan for a year, we'll see how that goes, and it might mean that we increase the number of hours per week for the following year, or we might decrease.
Thank you. Faye.
Hello, Faye Thomas, Friends of the Scrubs. Just a query about the ecology advisor. So would that be in addition to somebody like Kate McVeigh, who's doing a lot of work on the scrubs and managing a lot of day-to-day maintenance things, or would there be potential for her to take on that role as well? Just out of curiosity.
That's a good question. So that is the role that already exists. So the role that you can see on the organogram, the on-site ecology advisor and the grounds maintenance staff, they are already managed through the current contract that we've got. So it isn't an additional role. It's the same role, but just kind of made coherent within the trust structure, if that makes sense.
And there wouldn't be any reduction in the salaries currently paid to those people?
No.
Thank you. Stephen.
I'm all for this. When the council's HR team have put the job spec and application procedure together, could I ask that it be shared with members of this committee, including me, so that we can encourage friends to consider applying for the job if they're qualified? No idea what the qualification is going to be. Rather than there may not be anyone, but if there's someone who's already active on the scrubs, it might be beneficial rather than somebody who's got to learn it from scratch. Who knows?
Absolutely. I think anything we can do to share it far and wide would be much appreciated. So we can absolutely share that once it's live.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Great. Is that approved? Lovely. Thank you. Okay, Osama, I think this might be your final item for a bit. Multi-use games area.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this programme concluded in early December. For those who haven't seen it, this is the multi-use games area, which is behind the Family Hub on Braybrook Street. And so that needed more than just a bit of TLC for a long time. It's very well used by the local children. If you're ever sort of out and around in the area past 3:30, you can hear the sound of kids kicking footballs and having a great time kind of running around after school. Now, the benefit of doing this work, completing this work recently, is that we've actually had 2 more community organisations start using the space for free football clubs for local families. And we know that with the cost of living crisis, the multitude of different issues that kind of exist in the community, free provision of sport is absolutely of immeasurable value to the local families in the area. So once we had kind of unearthed the carpet, we saw that there are a number of different undulations in the space. And so we dug into the foundations. We laid a new layer of asphalt tarmac, and then we kind of put a small cuticle layer, kind of shock pad on top of that, and then a new carpet on top of that as well, which is a sand-filled carpet for multi-use. We also upgraded the fencing, and we installed new LED floodlights at a total cost of £64,000. What I'm really pleased about with this is the fact that we were a little bit kind of umming and ahhing about keeping it an open access facility. Now, we know that it's very well used, but we know that there are kind of tendencies around antisocial behaviour within that area. And so what I'm really pleased to say is that there's been absolutely no antisocial behaviour. We've had no complaints, and that it's been treated with respect. And I must take this opportunity to thank the local parents and the local youth coaches that I've been speaking to, who have really helped to make sure that the conversation has been happening in the community. People are aware of the fact that we spent a lot of money making this improvement, and people are treating it with respect. So we'll continue to monitor usage, and we'll factor any maintenance costs into future budgets.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Osama. And as you say, it's wonderful that it's done, and it's even better that it's free and accessible. I think we were all kind of on tenterhooks waiting to see what would happen to it, but it's wonderful seeing it being treated so well, and that people are so pleased with it. And how rare and unusual to have really good facilities that aren't just available as well. So thank you. Any comments, questions, other than congratulations? Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks so much to everyone who's made that happen. Vicky, Braybrook Play Street Improvement Scheme. Obviously phase 1 is up and running now, which is wonderful. I know Councillor Kwan's been up there, and I don't think has used the equipment herself, but has certainly been with some young people who have. So that's wonderful. Do you want to talk us through phase 2?
Yeah, sure. So with phase 1 being completed at the end of last year, and the path also extended in towards the phase 2 play area, which is to the northern section of that area there. That tender was also won by Sutcliffe Play, who installed the kit from phase 1. The installation of the phase 2 equipment is programmed to commence in early April, and it's going to take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to complete, which will be dependent on the weather conditions at the time as well. So that equipment includes a large wooden ship unit, which is approximately 15 metres long, and that incorporates elements like slides, climbing ropes, scramble nets, pull-up ropes, escape ladder, a rope bridge, etc. There's quite a few features on that ship. Then alongside the ship will be a smaller unit, which is kind of a shipwreck unit, which has also rope nets and a slide attached to it as well. Both of these units will be situated in rubber mulch safe surfacing, which is similar to that which was used for the under-8s area. And as the ship's masts are actually over 4 metres in height, they are, one of them, the central one, is actually 6 metres in height. we needed to contact OPDC to see if planning application was necessary, and on their pre-planning advice we'll be submitting that in a few weeks' time. And then once that work to install the play equipment is done, we will be fencing the area with low-level wooden fence and gates. And we will then also investigate options for shade, which has been asked for previously, and also if any additional seating is needed throughout the area.
Lovely, thank you very much. That does seem ludicrous that we need to get planning permission for what is essentially a stick, but fine.
Yeah, one mast, yeah.
Love the OPDC. Faye.
I mean, not to state the obvious, but is it at all possible that Sutcliffe might be able to modify the design for their very tall mast to be slightly shorter?
Yeah, we have asked them that question, but it would kind of compromise the rest of the structure. So it does need to be 6 meters tall, and the other two masts either side of the central one are 5.5 meters tall as well. So it would mean modifying all of those, and I think it just doesn't, you wouldn't get the same kind of impact, and it would alter the structure. So I think it's just not possible to do that with this unit.
It does feel unlikely that they will turn it down. I mean, never say never, obviously, but it does feel.
I mean, no, yeah, the pre-planning advice that we've had back is really quite positive and doesn't kind of indicate that they would turn that down. Yeah.
Fine, lovely. Well, very exciting. Faye, is that another question?
No, oh, just to feed in that more seating is always welcome, but I'm sure that will be brought to in due course.
Thank you. And seating with some shelter, I think, would also be appreciated. Councillor Kwan and then Councillor Schmidt.
Yes, as the chair noted, I took my professional third-party mystery shoppers, also known as my nephew and niece there, and in December, and despite how cold it was, there were a great number of people using it, and one of the testers is apparently a pirate in training. He wants to either be a pirate or a dinosaur when he's older, so the new plan will make a great stage in that. Are we monitoring sort of usage of their playground and so on? I know overall the council has a ambitious plan for improving our play spaces across the borough and so on, and obviously this area is sort of part of that sort of great offer that we'll have for visitors and residents and so on. Be interesting to just sort of see the usage and also sort of how that compares to other parts of the borough, because it's obviously a little bit, some of our other playgrounds are sort of situated in areas where there's higher footfall than the Scrubs, so it'd be interesting to find out whether it becomes like a destination kind of play area within the area.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can look at doing once the second phase is in as well. And it is that, as you say, it is that destination kind of play space. We can definitely look at doing that. I'm not sure exactly how we would do that, but I guess we can work out, you know, a way of doing that, and definitely just get some numbers of how many people are using it and the age ranges that are using it as well. And I think because it's been made so much more accessible now with the safety surfacing and the path, which all adjoin each other, it makes it a completely kind of firm and level surface. It's a lot easier for a lot more people to access. So we should be seeing much higher numbers of people using it. So yeah, it's a really good point. I think it's something that we can look to do.
Thank you very much. Osama, are you about to make the point about the GPS tracking?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah. So we do have a mapping platform called Active Exchange. At the risk of becoming a salesman for that company, they are quite good. They give us information on levels of usage, which are kind of aggregated to mobile phone signal data. The really good thing is that all of that information is completely anonymized, so it's not trackable to any particular individual. But it does mean that someone needs to be carrying a mobile phone in order for us to be able to validate that someone was in a particular location at a certain time. But it does give us kind of top level information about who accesses when and when the kind of best times of day are for particular uses. So yeah, we'll be able to share that information once the whole program has been complete.
Thank you very much. Councillor Schmidt, do you have a question? Fine. Lovely. All right. Thank you very much. Exciting to see that in place. Number 9, the British Association of Landscape Industries Awards.
Thanks very much, Chair, and well done for not getting your tongue twisted when you were saying that. I can't seem to actually pronounce it properly. Yes, we did win this award recently, and this was an award that highlighted the partnership that we have with RSPB and ID Verdi. So just a bit of context around the award. This is the UK's largest trade association for landscape professionals. And so when we entered the award, there were a number of different other kind of competitors. And so there were kind of two tranches of award. There's a principal award and a national award. And so we won the principal award for nature conservation and biodiversity enhancement. And that obviously recognizes the fantastic social value delivery, the commitment to that delivery and the delivery of that social value on the Scrubs. Massive hats off to the on-site ecologist, Kate McVeigh, for being so supportive, running weekly sessions. We've had about 160 volunteering sessions last year. Over 1,000 volunteers contributed over 5,500 hours of support. So this is a really fantastic contribution. And I just want to say thank you so much to those volunteers who have put in so much time and effort, and to the corporate organisations as well, who also sent their staff members in strong force to come and help us plant trees, lay hedges, maintain the wooded areas, you name it, they helped us do it. So I'm just going to ask this committee as well to relay that thanks to the partnership, and hopefully we'll see another one in the next couple of years.
Wonderful. I mean, huge numbers, over 1,000 volunteers and over almost 6,000 hours is incredible. So huge thank you to all of them, and what an incredible achievement. Thank you so much. Huge thanks to all of them. Huge thanks to everyone who coordinated it as well. Wonderful. Lovely. Okay. Right, the last two reports, community safety and finance. I am probably going to take these as read and take questions. Do people have questions on the law enforcement report?
I can give you the information for the law enforcement report. I've issued it out.
Yes, thank you. We've got it.
Yeah,
hi,
sorry,
hi, Claire. Nice to see you.
I was a little delayed in getting in because computer error.
Oh, no problem at all. So I
Shut
imagine
down
you
and
were
then had
busy
to come back
elsewhere.
in. So I can give a bit on that if you want.
Yeah,
now.
sure. Do you want to do a very quick overview? And then if anyone's got any questions, they can jump in.
No worries. So I'll jump into, obviously, this is a summary report of the law enforcement actions on Wormwood Scrubs. So we got the issue, the number, and the comments, obviously, of the report. So weapon sweeps, 22 weapon sweeps have been conducted. No weapons found, thankfully. ASB patrols, 73 have been conducted, and this has been to tackle ASB reports from residents. ASB patrols, 73 dog issues, PSPOs, 24 engagements. Officers have done a number of 80 engagements in relation to the Scrubs itself. Also, 5 PSPO enforcement actions have been done in regards to the PSPO for dogs. Fly tipping and waste, 9. High visibility patrols, it's one of the locations that we deal with in regards to parks, is the highest patrolled at 198 patrols. In legal encampments, 10. Abandoned vehicles, 2. And obviously locking duties, this continues with the gates that are up near the Wormwood Scrubs, obviously to stop any vehicles or encampments coming onto the area of the Scrubs. So all in total, 433 engagements have been done in regards to Wormwood Scrubs itself. I don't know if you want any more information on me to elaborate on that, but that is...
Thank you. That's really helpful, Claire. because I think it remains the most highly patrolled area of the whole borough. Does anyone have any questions on anything in the report? Stephen?
I'm not sure these are going to be for Claire or for Osama, really. One is to ask when the expensively installed bollards at the next to Woodman's Mews are going to come into action. That's the first question, and the second is to do with fly tipping and to say how well the team dealt with fly tipping, particularly over the holiday season. But there is a fly tip, which Osama knows about from me, on the UK Power Network site. And either they have dumped stuff or they have failed to prevent people dumping stuff. I don't know which, but I think they should be made to remove it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I can respond to those, Chair, if that's okay. Yes, so on the note of the bollards are working. They're in operation. We have asked ID Verdi to keep them down during the day. And the reason for that is because the ID Verdi maintenance vehicles who use the access road, they create a lot of noise. And so residents on Woodman's Mews they don't like that noise. So we've asked them to keep them down during the day and then just raise them during the evening, which they've been doing. And in terms of the fly tip, so the UKPN demised area, I did have a little peek through the palisade fencing, and it's quite a significant fly tip. I sent all that information across to my contact at UKPN. It's their responsibility to get it cleared. I also offered them some help in terms of our grounds maintenance team if they need it. Radio silence. So I will get back to them again and chase that one up next week when I'm back from annual leave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from anyone else? Fine. Well, thank you so much, Claire, to you and for all the work that the LET do.
Thank you. We wouldn't be able to do it without the residents informing us what's actually going on up there. And I'd like to obviously also say a thank you to Osama and also the ID Verdi team, which we are closely working with to tackle the issues regarding the fly tipping as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, Faye, is that a...
Oh yeah, it's a last minute thing. There's I should probably email about this, but as you're here, there is an abandoned motorbike on the west side of the Scrubs, which is people have been coming on and taking bits of motorbike off if LET officers felt like having a look at it.
Yeah, we are aware of that one. Unfortunately, we're noticing quite a high volume of bikes that are being dumped on the location. So we've reported it through to the police. Osama is aware of the locations and ID Verdi have been made aware. Also, the removal has to sit with our parking team. So we are all in collaboration in trying to get that vehicle removed. So it is in the process and we are aware of it.
Okay, well, there were a bunch of young men dealing with it at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So, you know, it's quite close to the road, just to flag that it is it's not something. It's not very well hidden, and is a little bit alarming if you come across it if you're by yourself and there's lots of guys with tools doing things. Anyway,
Mark, could that be escalated across for something that gets removed?
Of course, Chair. I'll speak to our parking colleagues tomorrow first thing and get that moved as quickly as possible.
Great, thank you very much. Osama.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just a note on that trend of abandoned mopeds on the Scrubs. We've had a number of abandoned mopeds, I think 8 over the past 2 weeks, which indicates that there's some sort of activity that's happening that's beyond our understanding at the moment. I actually went to Little Wormwood Scrubs as well earlier this week and met with colleagues at Kensington and Chelsea, and they also mentioned that 4 mopeds were dumped that week. So it feels like there's something bigger happening here, which is probably not restricted to a particular borough. But we do have all the data. We've got all the information to feed into the Met Police. I've actually been in touch with Menard already, who's the local ward officer. So we've ferried all that information across. But as Claire kindly mentioned, removal of abandoned vehicles is a Met Police issue. So the parking team have to go clear those abandoned vehicles, and then it's for the police to investigate. But if we do have any more kind of lower level information that we can share with residents or the committee, then I'll obviously do that by email.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Okay, final item, Nick, the income. I wonder, we did talk through some of these figures at the top of the meeting. So do you want to just do any of the kind of headlines, and then if anyone's got any questions, we'll jump in with those.
Sorry, Chair, that's back to me.
Oh, sorry, Osama.
That's okay, no problem. So as you mentioned, yeah, we did kind of talk through the headline figures of 24-25 at the beginning of the meeting. Just to summarise, there was a £713,000 surplus that has gone into our reserves, taking our reserves up to 2.8 million, just over 2.8. And so this financial year, the agreed anticipated outturn is a £422,000 deficit, and that will be drawn down from trust reserves. However, we do anticipate that this overspend will be reduced by about £140,000, and that's due to various different programme delays, as well as different programmes rolling over into next year. So it's likely that we actually will only draw down about £282,000 from reserves, which leaves us with a healthier reserve position. The income forecast is just over 1.3 million, which is £19,000 less than budgeted, and that's mainly due to the loss of rental income from the Kensington Aldridge Academy in December. The interest budget was set at £80,000, which is still on track to be hit for the forecast. The parking income has moved favourably by about £77,000, and that's due to higher receipts in April to November. But there's also no sign of any filming income at the moment. There's a budget of £9,000. That's a target for the year. Just on the note of the Kensington Aldridge Academy site, we did used to use that for unit basing and filming for big kind of production companies who have big vehicles that need to store. So we'll be looking again at reviving that income stream while we kind of develop a meanwhile use strategy and then a kind of forward plan for what that space is going to look like in the future. Hammersmith car park income is forecasted at £477,000 for the year. So that's £7,700 more than budgeted. And that's based on the previous 3 courses of the license rate, with an annual increase of about 3%, which is pegged to RPI. So details of our transactions are in the management report. If anyone's got any questions, happy to take them.
Thanks very much. Any questions? Fine. All right, lovely. Thank you very much. I think that is everything. We have noted all of those. Wonderful. Great. Well, lovely to see everyone. Thank you so much for making the time this evening. Date of future meetings is the 17th of March. Are we in the pre-election period then? Or is that still all okay? Looking at governance for that.
Yeah, the pre-election period starts at the end of March, so the 30th of March.
Lovely. That's great. Faye.
I think we had some other business to raise, which Stephen was going to raise about trees.
Yeah. Stephen, you're on mute. You're still on mute, Stephen. Am I on mute? Can everyone else hear me? No, okay.
Yeah. Stephen's on mute.
I need to unmute myself. Sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies. All of the trees in the northwest corner of the scrubs, which have been planted over the last 2 to 4 years, are dead, I am told, by colleagues. And because probably they were inappropriately selected for planting in that very wet part of the scrubs. And we hope that there will be replaced and there will be replanting, but we would strongly encourage that people with proper local knowledge be consulted by Osama in choosing what trees go there, rather than just either a borough-wide person who doesn't know the area or Red Squirrel, the contractors, being allowed to choose. Thank you.
Thank you. Osama?
Thank you, Chair. Are we talking about the fruit trees near Braybrook Street, or are we talking about the trees that were planted at the Stamford Brick Sewer site for that reinstatement?
I know that the ones near the new pathway on the corner, there were a number of little trees planted there that haven't survived. Sorry, the corner of Old Oak Common Lane on the west side. There's like 3 trees that I've spotted, and then I'm not sure about where the fruit trees are. But certainly the ones closest to the road didn't last very long.
Okay, I'll have to go and take a look at that.
Yeah, well, those are the HS2 ones that were placed there.
They could be. They could
Yeah.
be. If they were the HS2 ones, then there was quite a rigorous selection process that we went through in order to identify the right species. Another thing to mention as well is that the average tree needs about 20 litres of water a week to survive. So an overabundance of water is unlikely to be a factor that led to the failure of a tree. Also, it's also kind of hard to understand if a tree is healthy or not if it's not fully grown. So we'll have to go and investigate. And I'll bring my on-site ecology advisor with me too. But in terms of the species selection process, it is quite a rigorous process. And we don't, knowing that we've got this master plan, which aims to thin out and remove invasive species that are non-native to the scrubs. The point is that we want anything that's planted on the scrubs will be native to that land in the interest of being maintained in the future for 20, 30 years. So I'll go and check it out, but we'll see if we need to perhaps plant another tree or 2 to rectify.
Thank you.
Thank you, but thank you for raising. Lovely. All right. Well, I think that's everything. Thanks so much, everyone, and I will see you at the next meeting. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Thanks.
you.